The planet Vorithkal had 47 officially registered classification levels for planetary danger. It sat comfortably at level 43. The Galactic Accord survey drones had cataloged Vorithkal's biosphere with the kind of exhaustive, clinical horror usually reserved for war crime documentation. The atmosphere was technically breathable, if you ignored the spore season, which lasted 4 of the planet's 7-month cycles. The water was technically drinkable, if you boiled it 3 times and still didn't think too hard about what you were consuming. The megafauna ranged from the thornback stalker, 6-legged ambush predator, armored hide, acid saliva, to the Vorith colossus, herbivore. Technically, but herbivore. On a Deathworld meant something that could collapse a small building while going about its day. No sapient species had ever established a permanent settlement on Vorithkal. The survey report noted, with scientific detachment, this world is not suitable for habitation by any known civilization. Recommend classification, avoid. The Accord had filed the report, stamped it confirmed, and moved on. Then the humans had read it. Rylan had arrived on Vorithkal with 3 cargo containers, a fabrication unit, for months of rations, and an attitude that his commanding officer back on the research station had once described as the specific kind of stubborn that makes other people tired just watching it. He was a xenobotanist. Officially, his assignment was a 3-month solo research stint to catalog the planet's fungal ecosystems, which were, by all accounts, extraordinary, bioluminescent, interconnected, possibly possessing a rudimentary chemical communication network that bordered on sentience. Unofficially, Rylan had read every word of the Accord survey report, looked at the photos of the towering ironbark trees whose root systems could survive volcanic activity, looked at the photos of the canopy, 60 meters above the forest floor, above the territory range of most ground predators, and thought, that looks like a good place to build something. He had submitted the correct paperwork. Iloan, his research coordinator back on the station, a meticulous Kaldhari woman with pale blue skin and the patient exhaustion of someone who had been managing humans for 15 years, had read his supply manifest, noted the structural fabrication materials, and sent back a message that read simply, Rylan, please explain the load-bearing polymer struts. He had written back, shelving. She had known he was lying. She had approved it anyway, because in 15 years of managing humans, Iloan had learned that the energy spent preventing them from doing dangerous things was almost always wasted. Better to make sure they had good equipment and check-in protocols. She had added a note to his file. May attempt to build something inadvisable. Monitor closely. The treehouse took 11 days. It was, in Rylan's own estimation, excellent work. He had selected a cluster of 3 ironbark trees whose canopies overlapped, creating a natural platform frame 62 meters above the forest floor. The fabrication unit had done most of the heavy construction, wall panels, floor grating, roof, but Rylan had done the finish work himself. Reinforced windows, a proper door with a mechanical seal, a rope and pulley lift system for cargo, a small covered porch on the south face where the morning light came through the canopy in long gold columns. He had, because he was thorough and also because he was the kind of person who named things, called it the canopy. On the 12th day, he had his first visitor. He heard it before dawn, a scraping on the outer wall, rhythmic and heavy. He checked his external sensors, saw the heat signature, and looked out the reinforced window. A thornback stalker was investigating his south wall. Rylan watched it for a long moment. It was a magnificent creature up close. The Accord survey images had not done justice to the way its armor plates caught light, or the deliberate, almost architectural precision of how it moved. It was running its forward limbs along the wall panel in a motion that looked disturbingly like a building inspector checking for structural flaws. It found the ventilation duct. It sniffed it extensively. Then it curled up on the porch. Rylan stared at this for approximately 4 minutes. Then he sent a message to Iloan. There's a thornback on my porch. She replied 17 minutes later, which meant she had read it, put her head down on her desk, and needed a moment. Define on your porch. Sleeping on my porch, he sent back. Curled up. It looks comfortable. A longer pause. Rylan, she wrote. A thornback stalker has an acid saliva pH of 1.2. It has killed survey drones rated for combat engagement. It is sleeping on a structure you built with polymer struts and called shelving on your manifest. It seems pretty relaxed, he replied. I think it likes the elevation. Nothing can get to it up here. You are also up there. Yeah, but I'm inside. Another pause. He could picture her expression with great precision. Do not feed it, she wrote finally. He fed it on day 15. Not intentionally. He had been processing fungal samples on the porch and had left a container of the nutrient-rich growth medium out for 30 seconds. The thornback, which had apparently taken up semi-permanent residence on the south porch, had consumed it before he could retrieve it, looked at him with an expression that communicated clearly more of that, and then settled back down with a sound like a rock slide, achieving contentment. He reported this to Aloan. She had stopped expressing surprise in her messages. She now communicated primarily in silence and single-word responses. Great, she sent. By day 23, Rylan had 4 regular visitors. The thornback, which he had named Basalt, for obvious reasons, had claimed the south porch as sovereign territory. 2 creatures he initially cataloged as large flying things, unclear taxonomy, had discovered that the roof of the canopy was an excellent thermal perch and had taken to roosting there every afternoon. He had named them Pitch and Carve, and something that the survey report classified as a Vorith shade, a bioluminescent, semi-corporeal predator that the report described as deeply unsettling and avoid at all costs, had taken to drifting through the canopy near his east window every evening, doing nothing threatening, apparently just present. He named it Mist. He filed detailed behavioral reports. Aloan read them with the focused attention of someone trying to find a professional reason to order an evacuation and failing. The Accord research team arrived on day 47. There were 6 of them, 4 scientists of various species, 1 security officer, 1 liaison. They had been sent to check on the solo researcher who had gone very quiet on his check-in calls for the past 2 weeks, not due to distress. He simply kept forgetting, because he was busy watching Basalt teach what appeared to be a juvenile thornback how to climb the lift pulley. They descended through the canopy in a sealed transport pod. The team's security officer, a veteran Grethely with combat experience spanning 30 years, had his weapon drawn before they landed. He put it away 11 seconds after landing, because there was a thornback stalker sitting on the porch of a human-built treehouse, and it was being given what appeared to be a piece of flatbread by a human in a botany jacket, and the thornback was eating it with what could only be described as politeness. On the roof, 2 large flying things watched the new arrivals with mild territorial concern, then apparently decided they were acceptable and resumed their thermal napping. Something glowing drifted past the security officer's shoulder. He turned, hand going back to his weapon. That's just Mist, Rylan said from the porch, not looking up from his sample notes. She does that. Don't make eye contact. She gets weird about it. The security officer, whose name was Heron, stood very still as the bioluminescent predator that his briefing files had classified as extreme avoidance drifted past him in a lazy spiral and then settled, glowing softly, near the east window. Human, Heron said carefully. That is a Vorith shade. Yeah, Mist. She's been coming by for about 3 weeks. Rylan looked up. You guys want to come in? I made coffee this morning. There's probably some left. The science team exchanged looks. A Kaldari xenobiologist named Saren, who had been corresponding with Rylan's coordinator Aloan and had read every single one of his reports with escalating disbelief, stepped forward slowly. How? She said very quietly. How did you do this? Rylan looked at the canopy. At the porch where Basalt was methodically grooming the juvenile thornback. At the roof where Pitch and Carve napped. At Mist, glowing warmly near the window. I built somewhere safe, he said simply. Everything on this planet is fighting all the time. Predators, prey, weather, everything. I just built somewhere that wasn't fighting. Warm, elevated, dry. He shrugged. Safe space is safe space. Doesn't matter what species you are. Saren stared at him. Back on the orbital station, Aloan was reading his latest check-in report. It contained, in the summary field, the following note. Team has arrived. All residents accounted for. Basalt appears interested in the new visitors. Recommend they bring something edible as a greeting gesture. P.S. I may need a bigger porch. Aloan read it twice. Then she opened a new supply request form and began calculating load-bearing requirements for a porch extension on a treehouse on a level 43 Deathworld. She had long since stopped asking herself how humans did these things. She had started asking, instead, what she needed to order to help them do it better.